Um, I would talk about this book a little bit while I'm in the middle of it. Some things I like. Called After Dark. I love this cover. Pretty. I don't know, I'm not really good at breaking things down. I'll read the back. It says, a gripping novel of encounters set in Tokyo during the hours between midnight and dawn by an internationally renowned literary phenomenon. Murakami's trademark humor and psychological insight are here distilled with an extraordinary harmonious mastery, combining the pyrotechnical genius that made Kafka on the Shore and the Wind-Up Bird Chronicles international bestsellers with a moving infusion of heart. Murakami has produced one of his most enchanting fictions yet. I'm only this far in now, so I'm just going to talk a little bit so far. I think I read A Wild Sheep Chase when I was like... Hi, cute! A YouTube girl, Emmy. She's really cute. I like her taste. I think I like her taste. I like everything. I don't know, I'm very interested in the things she talks about. I don't know, so she's the reason I bought this book. She's cute, look her up. She said it was very cozy and she would read it at night and it got her through some hard time. And it's just like a feel, and it just has an atmosphere about it, and I was like, oh, it sounds good. And it is good so far. Start with this girl that's she's in a Denny's and she's reading a book, and it's just like goes through the different people that are coming in and out of the Denny's, and I don't know, what made me decide that I was telling my sister, I said the part that made me decide that I was loving this book is the part where this guy comes in to this girl reading the book. He walks past her and he stops and he's looking at her and then he sits down next to her and he's somebody that knew her, that hung out with her like a year ago with her sister, and like they went on some day trip or something. And so he's like sitting down before he goes to band practice and keeps talking about the chicken salad. I don't know why during that scene I was like, oh, I really like this book because he's so annoying, but it's so cute the way it's written. I was like, oh, okay, I really like this book now. I like he sits down before even asking, and she goes, aren't you supposed... He sits down and then he goes, you mind if I sit down? She goes, aren't you supposed to ask before you sit down? Like, he's like, oh yeah, sorry. And I don't know, he says that he always gets the chicken salad, even though he doesn't, but he always looks at the menu first, even though he knows what he's getting, because it just seems like it's embarrassing or something, like to come and go into the Denny's and knowing what he wants already. And he likes toast that's extra well done. He wants it to be crispy toast. And I don't know, something I really like that part stands out. Then it goes then there's a woman that runs into the Denny's, and she's like a big woman. It goes, she's not fat or anything. She's just big, just like a solid woman. Comes in, like, storms in there, and she goes, "Are you Mary?" Or and she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I heard that you could speak Chinese, like, and I need your help. You gotta come with me." And she brings her to she runs a love hotel, and she brings her in to talk to a girl that was beaten up for getting her period. She's a prostitute. She had her period before she could sleep with the guy. He gets angry and he beats her up. It's not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. And she's only speaks Chinese. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny at all. And there's a part where you go, it's weird. A lot of people get their periods during. It's super common to get your period in a love hotel. The people that always are getting their periods here. And I was thinking, that's because you're the most horny right before your period. It's like insatiable horniness. So that makes sense. I don't know why these things stood out to me. Anyway, it's interesting. And they're like taking care of her. Then there's something really weird going on with I don't know what's going on with her sister is like a model with no personality except she's a model. Like, I don't know if that's what's going on, but her room is like, she's nothing in her room. There's just nothing going on. There's no things that show anything she likes or that she's into. It's just like a few modeling shots where she's alone, and she's like just like this pristine creature. I'm assuming later, I was like, oh, this must be her. But I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on. But she's laying in bed, and it's describing her room. It's sort of this blank canvas of her room. And she's sleeping, and there's the TV turns on, and there's a guy sitting in a chair on the TV, but it turns on by itself and everything, the TV. And it said he looks dusty and like he's been there a long time. Like, not like he's. And I just don't know what's going on. It just seemed like an interesting tale at night, but now something is like, I'm like, what's going on now? Something like supernatural. I don't know. Like, why is the TV turning on by itself? It says that you could see in through the TV. Well, that would be nice if I like that idea. Yeah, the hell, you could see through the TV. I could look, people I love, we could see each other. It would be romantic. The person I love. But I don't know what's going on with this person, and why is it? So it's getting creepy. That's one segue. I love them describing the woman that just. So they're trying to get this guy that beat up the girl, the Chinese girl. That's where I am right now. They like have his they print out a picture of him. Cause he stole all her stuff too. He like robbed her purse and everything, and but the woman that runs the hotel, she used to be like a wrestler or something. I don't know, and I guess she quit at like 30 or something, and somebody's like, you want to run a love hotel? And she's like, why? She's like, I'm already like a bouncer type woman, like I'm so built, and like she just sort of fell into this. But I don't know, I like the idea of her. She's like this tough lady. She's like, I'm not gonna let him get away with doing this. We got, and she's like, doesn't understand the technology. Like, she's trying to look in the surveillance camera, and she has like these two girls that work with her, and their names are similar, and they all have these soft names, even though they have these rough characters, or not rough, but you know what I mean, like you know what I mean, just not like these, they're not like all soft ladies. They're just like these three kind of hardcore chicks running this hotel. I don't know, they're just, I don't know, I like the character of her, she's cute. And I like these women that help her like clean up the room and stuff. Let's see. What else was I going to talk about? I could just be reading stuff, but it's one part I bent because I just thought, oh, I really like the way this is written. Then after they get the Chinese girl back safe, they go to a bar, and she goes, she's like, why are you, this girl Mary, she's like, why are you out at night? What are you doing? She's like, I just wanted to get away, and just get away from the house, and I don't know, like she was just, sounds like she just kind of like doesn't really know, just kind of, she had a lot expected of her, but she kind of went a different route than what was expected of her. I don't know, she just seems like she's like in an in-between zone in her life. So she's just hanging out somewhere at night, but she runs into all these characters. But then they go to this bar, and I love the way this is written. They think I'm staying at a friend's house. I don't know how to lead up to it, so we'll just go back a little bit. They think I'm staying at a friend's house. My parents don't worry that much about me, whatever I do. Because I bet they think they can leave you alone because you've really got it together. Mary does not respond to this remark, but maybe sometimes you don't really have it together, Carl says. Mary gives a slight frown. What makes you think that? It's not a question of what I think. It's part of being 19 years old. I used to be 19 myself once. I know what it's like. Mary looks at Carl. She starts to say something, but decides she can't make it come out right. Changes her mind. The Skylark is near here. I'll walk you there. The boss is a buddy of mine, so I'm going to ask him to take care of you. I'll let you stay there till morning, okay? Mary nods. The record ends, and the automatic turntable lifts the needle, and the tone arm drops onto its rest. The bartender approaches the player to change records. He carefully lifts the platter and slips it into its jacket, and then he takes out the next record, examines its surface under the light, and sets it on the turntable. He presses a button, and the needle descends to the record. Faint scratching. Then Duke Ellington's Sophisticated Lady begins to play. Harry Carney's languorous bass clarinet performs solo. The bartender's unhurried movements give the place its own special time flow. Mary asks the bartender, "Don't you ever play anything but LPs?" He goes, "I don't like CDs," he replies. "Why not?" "They're too shiny." Kaoru butts in to ask the bartender, "Are you a crow?" I think crows like shiny things, though, right? But look at the time it takes to change LPs, Mary says. The bartender laughs. Look, it's the middle of the night. There won't be any trains running till morning. What's the hurry? Kaoru cautions Mary. Remember this fella's a little on the weird side. It's true, though, time moves in its own special way in the middle of the night, the bartender says, loudly striking a book match and lighting a cigarette. You can't fight it. I just like imagining all these movements. I feel like it's just the dim bar and the striking of the match and just the little. Doesn't sound good. My uncle used to have lots of LPs, Mary says, mostly jazz records. He could never get himself to like the sound of CDs. He used to play his stuff for me when I went over there. I was too young to understand the music, but I always liked the smell of old record jackets and the sound of the needle landing in the grooves. And the bartender nods without speaking. I don't know. I like that word too. The smell of the old record jackets. The sound of the needle landing in the groove. It's a nice visual. It's a nice scene. So I guess that's about it for now. But I don't know, I'm liking it. So I don't know, it's just weird how certain things are easier to read than other things. Strange. Like I was trying to read like 3 other things and I just started and was like, it's not time for this. Like, my brain is not ready. I'm not at this place or whatever, but I don't know, this is a nice, it just feels natural. There's lots of like, there's songs, even the girl the reason I got, she was saying there's lots of songs, it's neat because there's different song titles, so you can go like and play the songs, like you said, like Sophisticated Lady, then there was like I don't know, there's different songs mentioned, like, and so I guess you could like immerse yourself in the atmosphere by hearing the song, trying to get into a mood. Oh, that's neat. I haven't really done that yet, but maybe I will. I don't know, I want to see what's going on with this guy and the TV and what the sister. But I don't know, sometimes by the end of the book, the first part gets fuzzy, so I want to talk about it right now. She's just sitting here listening. And licking her belly. And her toes. Vincent got Arizona teas and filled the refrigerator with it. And sometimes they're like very concentrated. If you want to taste something really amazing, you mix the Arizona peach iced tea with with milk and some ice. Oh, it's really amazing. You'll read this part too, it's kind of funny. I like imagining this. Like, the 3 of them, those 3 girls that run the hotel around the computer. It goes, the 3 of them stare at the screen in silence, holding their breath. A young couple come in, because I think they're looking at the footage here. Come in at 10:50. Students, probably. Both are obviously tense. They stand in front of the room photos, settling first on one and then another, and finally choosing room 302. They push the buttons, take the key, and after wandering in search of the elevator, they get on. Karu. So these are the guests in room 302. Kagumi. 302? Huh. They look innocent enough, but they went wild in there. 'Cause you should have seen the place after they were through with it. And Kurogi. So their names are all kind of the same. I think it's cute. So what? They're young. They pay to come to a place like this so they can go wild. And Kagumi, well, I'm still young, but you don't see me going wild. Kuro goes, that's because you're not horny enough. You think so? I wonder. He goes, hey. I just imagine like a trash place. And I'm like what would be going on to make the place totally trash? There's like somebody like running at each other and jumping in their arms and crashing into a lamp, or like the covers totally like all over the place. Going, oh, it's cute. And Carl, hey, there comes number 404. Shut up and watch. A man appears on the screen. The time is 10:52. He wears a light gray trench coat. Is in his late 30s, maybe close to 40. He has on a tie and dress shoes like a typical company man. Small wireframe glasses. He is not carrying anything. His hands are shoved deep in his pockets of his trench coat. Everything about him is ordinary. Height, build, hairstyle. If you passed him on the street, he would leave no impression. Because he looks like a totally ordinary guy, says Kagumi. The ordinary-looking ones are the most dangerous, says Karu, rubbing. The ordinary ones are the most dangerous, says Karu. They carry around a shitload of stress. The man glances at his watch, and then without hesitation takes the key to 404. He strides swiftly towards the elevator, disappearing from the monitor. Karu pauses the image and asks the girls, so what does this tell us? It looks like a guy from some company, said Kagumi. Karu shakes her head, looking at Kagumi with an apparent disgust. I don't need you to tell me that a guy in a business suit and tie at this time of day has got to be a company guy on his way home from work. Sorry. Kurogi offers her opinion. I'd say he's done this kind of thing a lot. He knows his way around. No hesitation. Right on. Karu grabs the keys right away and heads straight for the elevator. No wasted motion, no looking around. Kagumi. You mean this ain't his first time here? Kurogi, one of our regular customers, in other words. Karu, probably, and he's probably bought his women the same way before, too. I don't know, I just like imagine them all huddled in front of the screen talking about it. Kind of cute. Then they redial the phone that she called to have the people pick her up. The Chinese girl had her. She called the whatever. What's the word? Her hoe house. She called her hoe house to come get her. But that was on redial, so they redialed that and they said, "Hey, we know this guy. The guy. We got a picture of him." And they go, "Are you sure that you?" They're gonna throw him in the Tokyo Bay. And, are you sure that you want to give the picture away? So, no, they won't kill him. And, he's like a respectable businessman. He's not like just a yahoo. don't know. This is just so weird. Then the guy that's in the TV, it's so bizarre. So she's sound asleep in bed, and the artificial glow on the television screen produces moving shadows on her profile, but does not disturb her sleep. The man on the screen wears a dark brown business suit. The suit may well have been an impressive article of clothing in its day, but now it's clearly worn out. Patches of something like white dust cling to the sleeves and the back, and the man wears black, round-toed shoes which are also smudged with dust. He seems to have arrived at this room after passing through a place with deep piles of dust, and he wears a standard dress shirt and plain black woolen tie, both of which share the look of fatigue. His hair is tinged with gray. No, it's just that his black hair is splotched with the white dust. In any case, it's not been properly combed for a long time. Strangely, however, the man's appearance gives no impression of poor grooming, no sense of shabbiness. He is just tired, profoundly exhausted, after unavoidable circumstances have conspired to smear him, suit and all, with dust. You can't see his... Oh, this was interesting. Let's go to this part. I forgot this part. We cannot see his face, for now the TV camera captures only his back, or part of his body other than his face, whether because of the angle of the light or through some deliberate arrangement. The face is always in a place of dark shadow, inaccessible to our eyes. The man does not move. Every now and then he takes a long, deep breath, and his shoulders slowly rise and fall, and he could be a hostage who has been confined to a single room for a long time. Hovering around him there seems to be a drawn-out sense of resignation. Not that he is tied to a chair. He just sits there with his back straight, breathing quietly, staring at one spot directly in front of him. You cannot tell by looking at him whether he has decided for himself that he will not move, or he has been placed into some kind of situation that does not permit him to move. His hands rest on his knees, and the time is unclear. We cannot tell if it's night or day, and in the light of the banked fluorescent lamps, however, the room is as bright as a summer afternoon. Eventually the camera circles around to the front and shows his face, but this does not help us to identify him. The mystery only deepens. His entire face is covered by a translucent mask. Perhaps we should not call it a mask. It clings so closely to his face, it is more like a piece of plastic wrap. But thin as it is, it still serves its purpose as a mask while reflecting the light that strikes it as a pale luster. It never fails to conceal the man's features and expression. The best we can do is summarize the general contours of his face. The mask has no holes for the nose, mouth, or eyes, but still it does not seem to prevent him from breathing or seeing or hearing. Perhaps it has outstanding breathability, but viewing it from the outside, we cannot tell what kind of material or technology has been used to make it. The mask possesses equal levels of sorcery and functionality. It has both handed down from ancient times with darkness and sent back from the future with light. What makes the mask truly eerie is that even though it fits the face like a second skin, it prevents us from even imagining what, if any, the person within is thinking, feeling, or planning. Is the man's presence a good thing, a bad thing? Are his thoughts straight? Are they twisted? Is the mask meant to hide him, protect him? We have no clue. His face covered by this precision-crafted anonymous mask. The man sits quietly in the chair, being captured by the television camera, and this gives rise to a situation. All we can do, it seems, is defer judgment and accept the situation as it is. We shall call him the man with no face. It says the camera angle is now fixed. It views the man with no face straight on from just below center. In his brown suit, he stays perfectly motionless, looking from his side of the picture tube through the glass into this side. He is on the other side, looking straight into this room where we are. Of course his eyes are hidden behind the mysterious glossy mask, but we can vividly feel the existence, the weight of his line of vision. With unwavering determination, he stares at something ahead of him. Judging from the angle of his face, he could well be staring towards area size bed. We trace this hypothetical line of vision with great care. Yes, there could be no doubt about it. What the man in the mask is staring at with his invisible eyes is the sleeping form of Aerie. It definitely dawns on us. This is what he has been doing all along. He's able to see through to this side. The television screen is functioning as a window on this room. Now and then the picture flickers and recovers, and the static also increases. The noise sounds like an amplified sonic version of someone's brain waves. It rises with increasing density. But at a certain point it peaks, it begins to degrade, and eventually dies out. Then, as if changing its mind, it emerges again, and the same thing repeats. But the line of vision of the man with no face never wavers, concentration is never broken. The beautiful girl sleeping on and on in bed, her straight black hair spreads over the pillow like a deeply meaningful fan. Softly pursed lips, heart and mind at the bottom of the sea. Whenever the TV screen flickers, the light striking her profile wavers. The shadows dance like inscrutable signals, sitting on a plain wooden chair and staring at her in silence. So it's very mysterious. Are you engaged, Kieran? What do you think? I liked it to be more vague, though. It was more sexy. Me talking about it in a vague way. I could just, have it be my life. But it's pretty interesting, so it's good. Well, I know. Okay. I guess I gotta sit and read some more now. Christ. Never happened. Moisty wall. Make the water extra hot. And the rest cold. Make it hot. Can't be right away. And it's easy. All you need to see hummingbird. common sense, but not until you already know it. So. Anyway, some interesting things that have gone up. For one, we discovered that the guy that gets the Chinese, there's a line in there, he's at work, he's typing, he's listening to Bach on a CD player. I think it's funny that they mention it's a CD player, almost like he's not as after talking about the other guy. And like he's not as earthy. Anyway, he's there. He's amazingly fast. He's works late hours. His wife is calling him on the phone at 2:30, saying she had a nightmare and why isn't he home and he has a deadline. And she goes, oh, I just went and I got a coffee and something to eat. And she goes, what'd you eat? And he goes, Chinese. It keeps me full. And that was clever and shitty, but clever. Like he always gets Chinese food. You get it? Like the Chinese women. And she goes, and she's like, oh, we keep missing each other. And they can't seem to connect because their hours are all different. She goes, you pick up some milk. He goes to the store. He's picking out the milk. And he doesn't takes the slow fat and puts it back. He wants the regular milk. And he's looking at all the apples, turn them around, finds one that is okay. A lot of them aren't up to par. How is it interesting? I don't know, I like the descriptions and stuff. But then so that's what's going on. So that's what his situation is. But now the girl in bed, something weird is happening with her. Look at it. She's not in her bed anymore. She's in the TV. And the guy is looking at her in bed, like right in front of him. Like she's not in the bed in this world anymore. She's in the TV world. And they're in the same room and he's looking at her in bed. I like that. That's weird though. What's going on? This is like a weird. I guess something freaky is happening. So she's in the TV world now. She's not even here anymore. That's interesting. Now the Mary is still sitting in the Skylark bar. The musician guy, the chicken salad boy comes in after hearing she's there, and he sits down with her, and he starts talking about how he's gonna give up music, and he's gonna take up law after this case made him cry about that he was studying where this horrible scumbag of a man burnt down a house with these old people in it, and like he's just like he's in jail for other violent things, but for some reason hearing that he's gonna get the death sentence, once he got home, it started making him cry for the man, and like he was just caught up in the dark tentacles of life or something, and that like we were all just like one step away from that or something, and I don't know, and it touched him so much he feels like he wants to start studying law And thinks it's a more grown-up thing to do anyway. And she's eating she has sandwiches in front of her, and she goes, the reason she didn't want chicken salad is because she said she doesn't like what they do to the chickens. Now the tuna's in front of her. And he goes, "Look, can I have a sandwich? Or if you're not going to eat it," she goes, "Yeah, it's just tuna." He goes, "Oh, I love tuna." She goes, "Yeah, tuna. If you eat too much tuna, mercury will build up in your system. You could get heart attacks in your 40s. And he goes, "Crap. It's one of my favorite foods." But he eats it anyway. He's enjoying it. And then, so what about potato salad? And she goes, "I think potato salad's fine, but it might make you fat." I was, "Okay, that's alright, that's fine." So, this is how it's progressed. Now they're going for a walk. Alright, I want to unpack this. We talk about it before it's over. Oh, we're getting close. And there's still a lot of mysteries. I don't know. I don't know what I want to happen. Okay, here, where do we leave off? With the guy, they were going for a walk. The music player, the one in the band that's gonna start studying law. I guess it's gonna be a spoilers video. I guess it's like a read along. I don't know. It just kind of turned into that. I don't think I've ever read anything this fast. This long, this fast. Anyways, let's see what's happened. We went through a lot. As they're walking, he's talking to Mary about. He's saying that her sister actually had a conversation with him, and that he ran into her on the street, and she started she needed somebody to talk to, and they went and they had this conversation, and she was going through a lot of stress, and she was popping lots of pills and vitamins and stuff, and I don't know, he's like they looked legal, but she just seemed like she was popping a lot of them, and when she was talking, it's like she wasn't even really talking to me. It's almost like she just needed to talk. It's like I could have been a wall, and it's like it didn't even matter. It didn't matter that it was me. It could have been anybody. She just needed somebody to vent to. Because she's going, "Are you interested in her?" And she's like, "I don't know if she's interested in me." And he's like, "Oh, she's a special girl," and the whole room was going, "Oh, is she well, who why is she talking to me?" Is the way he perceived it. And but he felt like he wasn't really even a part of the conversation, but that she seems like she's under a lot of stress and she probably needs help. And so she's sitting here listening to this. What else has happened? Oh, and so then we go. You remember the sister's on the other side of the TV world, right? And sleeping in the bed. The guy has disappeared. Now, we don't know where he is. But she wakes up in this other world, in this weird room, and it's just like a blank room, and she's trying to get out. She walks around, and she's she sees there's like a window and there's a door, but when she's banging on the door, it doesn't barely even make a sound. You could tell she can't penetrate. Nobody could hear her in this room, and she is kind of freaking out. It's just like kind of a blank room. She can't really see what's going on outside. I think there's like a window, but she can't really see what. It just like looks blank. She goes, "Am I on a ship or something?" Because she kind of feels like a lull, but then she listens and she doesn't hear a hum of the ship or anything like that, so she doesn't know if that's it. Then we actually see, from our perspective, we can see her inside the TV thing trying to get out, like almost like she can see her room on the other side of the TV. So it is like somebody could look in. And she's trying to go, help me. But you don't hear anything she's saying, you just see her. And, so that's scary. I don't know what's going on. Then you have the guy, the Chinese lady businessman. You have him, he's in his office doing push-ups and stuff. You're like, oh, he just seems like a regular guy, but when he takes his clothes off, like his body's really nice and like he keeps up with himself and I don't know why that stood out. Just imagine him. I guess because the way that he's written, it reminds me of American Psycho, and I like that. Just imagining like this weird sort of robotic man going through the motions. But of things like upkeep and just doing my thing that I'm good at. I have this down, like type of thing. But so he's doing push-ups. He takes a shower. Then he heads home in a cab and picks up what his wife wants. That's what's going on with him. But when the weird thing is, I don't know, this is what I'm thinking right now, but I kind of don't want it to be that, and I don't think it will be that actually, because right now I'm thinking maybe she's in a dream, right? Because that's my thought, that she's dreaming all this and it's just like a bizarre nightmare or something. It's like we're feeling it through her perspective. The sister, the sleeping sister. But while she's in this place, this white room or whatever, she finds a pencil, or a pen or pencil, and it says the company name of the guy, the bad guy that beat up the girl, the American Psycho man. And so that's weird. So that makes me think it's not a dream, because that's a bit strange. And so he's in the works of this big company. The room she's in has the same pen as the company he works for. So that's weird. And then as they're taking the walk, the guy's going, yeah, so I couldn't really connect with her, but I think she needs help. And then Mary goes back to the Love Hotel, and she's sitting with Kurogi or whatever, and while the wrestler woman's taking a nap, she's just like got sick of the bar and everything, and so they walk to the hotel, and then Kurogi, she asked her, what's your story? And she's like, I've been running. I don't really want to get into it. She's been running from people for years, and she never has any peace. Even in her dreams, she's being chased by these people and thrown into like a refrigerator type thing. And even while she's awake, she always has anxiety. And she shows on her shoulder, she has these weird branding marks, like they burned her or something. Like, they're really scary people. And so she's jumping from job to job. You find this out about her. And then Mary confides in her and says that we find out that her sister's been sleeping for 2 months. That she said that her sister announced to everybody, I want to go into a sleep. I'm going to go to sleep. Like, she announced it to everybody. I'm going to go for a long sleep. And she did. She's been sleeping for 2 months. But she wakes up enough, and none of the family has seen her awake, but they know that she gets, like, they leave her food and the food's gone. Sometimes her pajamas are changed. And, like, so they know she's waking up and, like, enough to nourish herself and, like, do whatever, but then she's back asleep in, like, a deep sleep again, and it's been that way for 2 months. And then you find out that's why Mary has left the house, because it's so bizarre to her. Like, sometimes she can't sleep, knowing that her sister's in the other room sleeping in this strange way, and she doesn't know what's going on. And they called in a doctor, and he's like, well, her stats are fine. If she said she needs to sleep, then I guess just let her sleep. We'll see what happens, because there's no reason to put her in a hospital, because she seems fine. So I guess just let her sleep. And she's like, I can't be in the same house some nights because it's just too weird. I don't know what's going on. And but I guess they have such a, like, you know, like, if it was just like your regular sister, you'd probably walk in there and be like, hey, yo, what's up? Wake up. Let's talk. What's going on? But they were never close, just because they lived such separate lives. So I guess maybe she doesn't even feel like she can do that. I don't know. So she doesn't really know what to do with herself. She just leaves the house. So this is strange. I was starting to think that maybe, like, there's not a lot of book left. Then the guy, he's at home. He can't sleep. The guy that got the Chinese prostitute. But he wants to get to sleep before his whole family wakes up. Something's bothering him, though. Let's see, is that all that's going on? Oh, the Kurogi girl. That's not even her real name. That's the name she took, because she's running away from people. She's all like, they're confiding in each other for some reason. Like, she's like, I never told anybody that I'm running from people, but something tells me I could trust you. And that's when she tells her about her sister sleeping 2 months. And she goes, well, I think it'll be alright. And they wish each other well, because they both, and like, she's like, I think it's gonna be okay. I got a feeling about it. And she's like, think about, there's a big thing about memories being like fuel, and it's sort of interesting. I never heard anything written like that. Like, almost like we're living off our memories and try to pull up the good memories of you and your sister, and there had to be some time where you felt connected to her, and like, you need to bring those memories to the surface right now. Like, almost like, think of that instead of this, I don't know, think about those times instead of all these awkward, disconnected times. And she's like, you do the same. She's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm running on from my shadow. And she's like, no, you probably not, you know, but I hope you can stop running eventually from these scary people. So that's that. Oh, but but all of a sudden now she falls back asleep, the sister in the room, and now she's back in the room. Like it's only like almost like nothing ever happened. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's just like a dream. But still doesn't explain the weird pen, why she found the pen that was the same company that guy works for. So I don't know what's gonna happen. And there's not much left, so I don't know how I feel. I don't know. Is that everything? Yeah, that's about it. The guy, he goes and he practices. He's ready. I guess that was his last practice. He goes, oh, that was a good session. Remember, he said that's gonna be his last night. He goes, I had a lot of feeling to it. So I guess I'll just try to finish this and come back in. Look at, oh no, there's not so much. I don't know. I guess I don't want it to be like a dream, because that's kind of boring, right? And I guess it wouldn't be, right? But I don't know. I want it to be happy ending too, or just something so far-fetched. You're just like, huh? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Okay, well, maybe I left out some details. For one, I don't know if they'll mean anything in the end, but like, just for the heck of it, like the Takahashi's the band player's name. No, I'm not saying the name. But his mother died when he was 7, and his father was in prison at the same time. So there was a span of time where he was like an orphan. His mother died of breast cancer, and his dad was in jail. So the neighborhood and his aunts took care of him for a period of time, and like he always has like this trauma from it. He always feels like he's like an orphan, even though when his dad got out of prison, I don't know if it was like a year after, like he was only a short period of time, he was in this weird state of like having no parents around. But I guess it was such like one of those years of your life where everything means a lot. So he's always goes back to that weird orphan stage, and even though his dad got remarried, so he had a mom, he's like an only child. I don't know, he's like, his dad is always kind of shady in his things, like you can't tell if he's always on the up and up because he went to jail for fraud or something, and he stayed out of prison because of, and he feels like the only reason he stayed out of prison is because he feels like he needs to, since he doesn't have a mom. Like he needs to at least be kind of up and up, even though, so the dad's kind of a weird gray character. I think this is probably why he feels like he's always one step away from being like a scary person, because I don't know, because of his probably because his dad and not having his real mom. And the guy that punched the Chinese prostitute, he has all her stuff. He's looking through her stuff. I like when he's looking through her stuff. He's cute. I mean, it's sad. The way they describe it is it's sad, but I like the details. Like she's a hot pink bra and like a light and like a deep pink sweater with something on it, and like a fake leather bag, and like a prepaid phone, and I don't know why I like that part, and like an blue little skirt or something, Anyway, he's looking through all her stuff, and he's puts it and bags it up, and he drops it off in a trash can. I don't know why he even does this. Her cell phone, he keeps the cell phone out, and he sets it. As he's picking up the stuff for his wife, he decides he's gonna set the phone in the 7-Eleven. Just like leave it on the counter, like almost like she left it there. I don't know. I'm like, he has fingerprints all over it. If anybody researches this, I don't know when this was written. What year was this even written? 2004. Wait. Tokyo 2004. Okay, so he's like fingerprints all over the phone. Which, so it's weird that he would just like leave it in 7-Eleven, but he does. But look at the Takahashi, the band player. He's at the 7-Eleven, and he's going. He's the only customer in the store. He's getting some food to eat when he wakes up. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on milk. I think the other guy said this too. Yeah, look. Come on. Yeah, this is so weird. The guy, the guy that, remember, his wife to go get low fat milk. The Chinese, I don't know what's his name. I gotta just say his name. The Chinese prostitute puncher, the American Psycho Man. He says, he puts the low fat milk for when he's choosing to eat for himself. He puts the low fat milk back and gets the regular milk for himself. And it says right here, milk and apples seem to have a special significance for him. He heads for the checkout counter, but on the way he notices some vinyl wrapped fish cakes. He picks that up too. So he says that milk has significance to him, right? And look at, and then his wife wants a low fat milk or whatever. Then Takahashi, the band boy, it says he's the only customer in the store. Bomb juice playing from the ceiling speakers. Bomb juice, that sounds weird. A weird song name. I think I'll look that one up. Palm juice. He picks up a tuna sandwich packed in plastic and a carton of milk. He compares the expiration date on this carton with those on the other cartons, which the other guy did as well. And the milk is a food of great significance in his life. He cannot ignore the slightest detail where milk is concerned. This is what the other guy did, too. It's bizarre. And at this very instant, the cell phone on the cheese shelf begins to ring, which is the prostitute's phone. This is the phone that Shirakawa left there shortly before. Takahashi scowls and stares at it suspiciously. Who could possibly have left a cell phone in a place like this? He glances towards the cash register. but there is no sign of the clerk. The phone keeps ringing. Takahashi finally takes the small silver phone in his hand and presses the talk button. Hello? You'll never get away. The man's voice says instantly. You will never get away. No matter how far you run, we're going to get you. The voice is flat, as though the man is reading a printed text. No emotions come through. Takahashi, of course, has absolutely no idea what he is talking about. Hey, wait a minute, Takahashi says, his voice louder than before, but his words seem not to reach the man at the other end, who goes on talking in those same unaccented tones as though leaving a message on voicemail. We're going to tap you on the shoulder someday. We know what you look like. What the hell? I guess this is the people that, remember, they told the whole house that he has her stuff. So they probably think they're talking to the other guy. I don't know, I'm gonna sit here and read all this. Someday, we know what you look like. What the hell? If somebody taps on the shoulder somewhere someday, it's us, the man says. Takahashi has no idea what he should say. In response to this, he keeps silent, having been left in a refrigerator case for a while. The phone feels uncomfortably cold in his hand. You might forget what you did, but we will never forget. Hey, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm telling you, you've got the wrong guy. Takahashi says, you'll never get away. The connection is cut. He shouldn't even have said anything. He shouldn't have said anything, because now they're going to think it's the guy. And the guy's saying, yeah, I'm innocent. The connection is cut. The circuit goes dead. The final message lies abandoned on a deserted beach. I'm surprised they even called him, actually. Because when they came to the hotel, it's cute. The wrestler girl, she goes, do you still cut ears off? Because she goes, here's the guy's picture. Do you still cut ears off? He goes, a man only has one life, but he has 2 ears. So maybe you could at least, it's like she's saying, I don't know if it's he deserves to die, but maybe you could cut one of his ears off. It's so weird. And the girl was like, Vincent Van Gogh? It's funny. But then the guy, when they pick it up, they're just like looking at her like, okay, we'll let you know if we find him and if we cut off his ear. He's just like, alright, you do that. And I thought they were just like, they don't care that much, right? The way it was just sort of like, alright, lady, whatever. But I guess they do, which is good. They care about their girls. I'll get back. I'll read a little, get back. Alright. It's getting kind of cute. I realize I haven't really talked about Mary that much, because it kind of just will have little I don't know, there's so much strange stuff going on around her, but like Takahashi was saying how he wants to see her again, hang out with her, and write to her, and that she's going to the band player. She's gonna be in China because she's went to a Chinese school. So she's going. What was it? How did she say it? kind of like that it's... Crap, only a few minutes, I don't have to check. Do a memory card thing. It's... You can see Mary throughout this whole thing. She has, like, no self-confidence. She just feels like she's, like, the dud of the family that didn't go on the right path. But look at, like... I don't know, him talking to her like this makes me, like, sum up everything that's happening with her. Because he's like, has anyone... She's like, I'm a coward. And he goes, a coward wouldn't be out here at night. Like, and you were looking to find something, right? Like, out in the city at night. And she's like, you know, like, has anyone ever told you that you're not fun to talk to? Like, he's, like, saying nice things about her. And she's saying, well, I'm going to be at a different school. I'm going to be in China or whatever. For 6 months. He goes, I'm a patient guy. I'll wait for you. I'd like to see you again. As he, like, her going to that Chinese school, she was able to help that girl. And, like, I don't know, and then she meets this boy. He likes her. Oh, and then she was able to talk to the girl at the Love Hotel with that terrifying secret when she got burned. And so she made friends over there. And I didn't say earlier, but after she and that girl, they had that heart-to-heart, she tells her about her sleeping, and then the girl shows her her burn mark. She goes in the back room, and she's like sitting there looking at all the sex toys in the machine, and like, but she feels she's never had a boyfriend, really. She's never had sex. She's feels totally like this sort of like lost girl, but she's like, she finally felt comfortable enough to go to sleep and have a deep, peaceful sleep after she talked with that. Like she was looking for that feeling for a long time. So, like, we're hearing about all these weird people, but Mary is, like, growing as a person, right? Getting people. That's nice. And that's what she needed all along. So it's good that her sister went to sleep and she got out of the house. She sees a successful person. But she doesn't know if what she's doing was the good choice. And they're like, she probably wishes she was you. She has her own problem. Alright, anyway. Because are you seeing somebody? No, not really. So you just don't like me? Mary shakes her head. I'm not saying that. I won't be in Japan after next Monday. I'm leaving for Beijing to be a kind of exchange student there until next June at least. Of course, she says, impressed. You're such an outstanding student. I played on the off chance they'd pick me, and they did. I'm just a freshman. I figured there was no way I could get in, but I guess it's kind of a special program. That's great. Congratulations. So anyhow, I've just got a few days till I leave, and I'll probably be so busy getting ready. Of course. Mary takes a small red notebook from her pocket and writes down her Beijing address, tears the page out and hands it to Takashi, folds it in two and slips it in his billfold. I'll write you a nice long letter. Mary comes to a halt before the automatic ticket gate, thinking about something. She is unsure whether she should tell him what is on her mind. I remembered something about Ari before. She says once she has decided to go ahead. I had forgotten about it for a long time, but it came back to me all of a sudden after you called me at the hotel. I was spacing out in the chair. I wonder if I should just tell
you about it here and now. Of course you should. I'd like to tell somebody about it while the memory's fresh, Mary says. Otherwise, the details might disappear. Takahashi touches his ear to signal his readiness to listen. When I was in kindergarten, Mary begins, Ari and I once got trapped in an elevator of our building, and I think there must have been an earthquake. The elevator made this tremendous shake between floors and stopped dead. The lights went out and we're in total darkness. I mean total. You couldn't see your own hand. There was nobody else in the elevator, just the two of us. Well, I panicked. I completely stiffened up. It was like I turned into a fossil right then and there. I couldn't move a finger. I couldn't hardly breathe, couldn't make a sound. Ari called my name, but I couldn't answer. I just fogged over. It was like my brain went numb, and Ari's voice was barely reaching me through the crack. Mary closes her eyes for a moment and relives the darkness in her mind. She goes on with her story. I don't remember how long the darkness lasted now. It seems awfully long to me, but the fact it may not have been that long exactly. How many minutes it lasted? 5 minutes, 20 minutes? Really doesn't matter. The important thing is that during that whole time in the dark, Ari was holding me, and it wasn't just some ordinary hug. She squeezed me so hard our bodies felt as if they were melting into one. She never loosened her grip for a second. It felt as though if we were separated the slightest bit, we would never see each other in this world again. Oh, that's cute. Takashi leans against the ticket gate, saying nothing as he waits for the rest of Mary's stories. Mary pulls her tight hand from the pocket of her varsity jacket and stares at it for a while, then raising her face, she goes on. It's about to... goes... She probably decided on the spot that she was going to be strong. She made up her mind that she would have to be the strong big sister for my sake. And the whole time she kept whispering in my ear stuff like, we're gonna be okay, there's nothing to be afraid of, I'm here with you and somebody's gonna come and help soon. She sounded totally calm, like a grown-up. She even sang me songs, though I don't remember what they were. I wanted to sing with her, but I couldn't. I was so scared. My voice wouldn't come out, but Ari just kept singing for me all by herself, and I entrusted myself completely to her arms. The two of us became one. There was no gaps between us. We even shared a single heartbeat. Then suddenly the lights came on and the elevator shook again and started to move. Mary inserts apologies, backtracking through her memory, looking for the words. But that was last time. That was, how should I say it, the one moment in my life when I was able to draw closest to her. The one moment when she and I joined heart to heart as one. There was nothing separating us. After that, it seems we grew farther and farther apart. We separated, and before long we were living in different worlds. That sense of union I felt in the darkness of the elevator, that strong bond between our hearts never came back again. I don't know what went wrong, but we were never able to go back to where we started from. Takahashi reaches out and takes Mary's hand. She is momentarily startled, but doesn't pull her hand from his. Takahashi keeps his gentle grip on her hand, her small, soft hand, for a very long time. I don't really want to go, Mary says. To China? Uh-huh. Why not? 'Cause I'm scared. That's only natural, he says. You're going to a strange, far-off place all by yourself. I know. You'll be fine, though, he says. I know you, and I'll be waiting for you here. Mary nods. You're very pretty, he says. Did you know that? Mary looks up to Takahashi, then she withdraws her hand from his and puts it into the pocket of her varsity jacket. Her eyes drop to her feet. She is checking to make sure her yellow sneakers are still clean. Thanks, but I want to go home now. I'll write to you, he says, a super long letter, like in an old-fashioned novel. Okay, Mary said. She goes in through the ticket gate, walks to the platform, and disappears into a waiting express train. Takahashi watches her go. Hold on. Should we just read the rest together? What's gonna happen? There's only a few pages left. What's gonna happen? This is cute though. It's nice. Both. She goes through the ticket gate, walks to the platform, disappears into a waiting express train. Takahashi watches her go. Soon the departure signal sounds, the doors close, and the train pulls away from the platform. When he loses sight of the train, Takashi picks his instrument case up from the floor, slings it strapped over his shoulder, and heads for his own station. Whistling softly, the number of people moving through the station gradually increases. Area size room. Okay, we're back. Outside the window, the day is growing brighter. Area size asleep in her bed. Her expression and pose are the same as when we last saw her. A thick cloak of sleep envelops her. Mary enters the room. She opens the door quietly to avoid being noticed by the other members of the family. She steps in and closes the door just as quietly. Just as quietly, the silence and chill of the room make her somewhat tense. She stands in front of the door, examining the contents of her sister's room with great care. First, she checks to be sure that this is indeed the room, as she has always known it, that nothing has been disturbed, that nothing or no one unfamiliar is lurking in a corner. Then she approaches the bed and looks down at her soundly sleeping sister. She reaches out and gently touches Aries' forehead, quietly calling her name. There's absolutely no response, as always. Mary drags over the swivel chair from its place by the desk and sits down. She leans forward and observes her sister's face close up, as if searching for the meaning of a sign that hidden there. Some 5 minutes go by. Mary stands up, takes off her Red Sox cap, and smooths out her crumpled hair, and then she removes her wristwatch and lays it on her sister's desk. She takes off her varsity jacket, her hooded sweatshirt, and the striped flannel shirt under that, leaving only a white t-shirt. She takes off her takes off her varsity jacket, her hooded sweatshirt, and the striped flannel shirt under that, leaving only a white t-shirt. She takes off her thick sports socks, blue jeans, and then she burrows softly into her sister's bed. She lets her body adapt to being under the covers, after which she lays a thin arm across the body of her sister, who is sleeping face up. She gently presses her cheek against her sister's chest and holds herself there. Aw, it's cute. Listening, hoping to understand each beat of her sister's heart. Her eyes are gently closed as she listens. Soon, without warning, tears begin to ooze from her closed eyes. Large tears, and totally natural. They course down her cheek and moisten the pajamas of her sleeping sister. Mary sits up in bed and wipes the tears from her cheeks with her fingertips towards something. Exactly what? She has no concrete idea. She feels that she has committed something utterly inexcusable act, something she can never undo. The emotion has struck with great suddenness and with no tangible connection to what has come before, but it is overwhelming. The tears continue to pour out of her. She catches them in the palms of her hands. Each new falling tear is warm like blood, with the heat from inside her body. Suddenly it occurs to Mary, I could have been in some other place than this. And Ari too, she could have been in some other place than this. To reassure herself, Mary takes one more look around the room, and then again she looks down at her sister. Ari is beautiful in her sleep, truly beautiful. Mary also wishes she could preserve that face of hers in glass case. Consciousness just happens to be missing from it at the moment. It may have gone into hiding, but it must certainly be flowing somewhere out of sight, far below the surface, like a vein of water. Mary can hear its faint reverberations. She listens for them. The place where they originate is not that far from here, and Mary's flow is almost certainly blending with my own. Mary feels we are sisters after all. Mary bends over and I don't know why I'm so like I don't know what's the matter with me. It's nice, like it's beautiful. That's beautiful, but I'm like, what? I guess if this is it, that's really cute. I'm just like, what was that though? Mary bends over and briefly presses her lips to Aries. She raises her head and looks down at her sister's face. Again, she allows time to pass through her heart. Again, she kisses Aries a long, softer kiss. Mary feels almost as if she's kissing herself. Mary and Aries, one syllable difference. She smiles. Then, as if relieved, she curls up to sleep beside her big sister, to bond with her if possible, to share the warmth of their two bodies, to exchange signs of life with her. Come back, Eri, she whispers in her sister's ear. Please come back. She closes her eyes and allows the strength to leave her body. With her eyes closed, sleep comes for her, enveloping her like a great soft wave from the open sea. This is really nice, though, because one of the things that Eri was saying to Takahashi was that she wishes she was closer with her sister, and her sister was feeling the same way. So this is really nice. That's very sweet. Come back, Eri, she whispers in her sister's ear. Please come back. She closes her eyes and allows the strength to leave her body. With her eyes closed, sleep comes for her, enveloping her like a great soft wave from the open sea. Her tears have stopped. The brightness outside the window is increasing with great speed. Vivid streaks of light stream into the room through gaps in the shade. The old temporality is losing its effectiveness and moving into the background. Many people go on mumbling the old words, but in the light of the newly revealed sun, the meanings of words are shifting rapidly and are being renewed, even supposing that most of the new meanings are temporary, things that will persist only through sundown that day. We will be spending time and moving forward with them. In the corner of the room, the TV screen seems to flash momentarily. Light might be rising to the surface of the picture tube. Something might be starting to move there, perhaps. The trembling of an image. Could the circuit be trying to reconnect? We hold our breath and watch its progress. In the next second, however, the screen is showing nothing. The only thing there is blackness. Perhaps what we thought we saw was just an optical illusion, a mere reflection of a momentary fluctuation in the light streaming through the window. The room is still dominated by silence, but its depth and weight have clearly diminished and retreated. Now the cries of birds reach our ears. If we could further sharpen our auditory sense, we might be able to hear bicycles in the street, or people talking to each other, or the weather report on the radio. We might even be able to hear bread toasting. Lavish morning light washes every corner of the world at no charge. Two young sisters sleep peacefully, their bodies pressed together in one small bed. We are probably the only ones who know that. That's cute. Inside the 7-Eleven, checklist in hand, the clerk is kneeling in an aisle, taking an inventory. Japanese hip-hop is playing. This is the same young man who received... I shouldn't be all excited. That was really beautiful. You should soak that in. That's really sweet. I'm just so curious. I'm gonna have to transfer this whole. The clerk at the 7-Eleven, he hears the phone ring. Remember, Takahashi picked it up and he said, "You'll never get away with this." And now the clerk at the 7-Eleven, he answers it, and he hears, "You'll never get away with this," too. So all these guys are getting these scary messages that are making freaking them out. Hello, the clerk said, "But you can't. You probably think you got away with it," announces the male voice. "But you can't get away. You can run, but you'll never be able to get away." Then they hang up. Even Takahashi's even if it wasn't meant for me, maybe it was meant for me. Like, maybe I was meant to hear this horrible thing. Well, so now the clerk is hearing it too. It's kind of funny. It's sad. Allowing ourselves to become pure point of view, we hang in midair over the city. What we see now is a gigantic metropolis waking up. Computer trains of many colors move in all directions, transporting people from place to place. Each of those under transport is a human being with a different face and mind, and at the same time, each is a nameless part of the collective entity. Each is simultaneously a self-contained whole and mere part, handling his dualisms of theirs skillfully and advantageously. They perform their morning rituals with deftness and precision, and brushing teeth and shaving, tying neckties, applying lipstick. I was just gonna apply. They check the morning news on TV, exchange words with their families. How'd you know? How'd you know I was gonna put on lipstick? So our viewpoint departs from the sky over the city. Just talking about the world waking up. A Volvo proudly reflects the morning sun. A golf practice net sets up on one lawn. Morning papers freshly delivered. People walking large dogs. The sound of meal preparations from kitchen windows. People calling out to each other. Here to a brand new day is beginning. It could be a day like all the others, or it could be a day remarkable enough in many ways to remain in the memory. In either case, for now, for most people, it is a blank sheet of paper. We choose one house from among all the similar houses and drop straight down to it, passing through the glass in the lowered cream-colored shade of a second-story window. We soundlessly enter Aria's room. Mary is sleeping in the bed, cuddled next to her sister. We can hear her quiet breathing. As far as we can see, her sleep is peaceful. She seems to have warmed up. Her cheeks have more color than before. Her bangs cover her eyes. Could she be dreaming, or is the hint of a smile on her lips the trace of a memory? Mary has made her way through the long hours of darkness, traded many words with the night people she encountered there, and come back to where she belongs. For now, at least, there is nothing nearby to threaten her. 19 years old, she is protected by a roof and walls, protected too by fenced green lawns, burglar alarms, newly waxed station wagons, and big smart dogs that stroll the neighborhood. The morning sun, shining in the window, gently envelops warms her. Mary's left hand rests on the black hair of her sister. Spread upon the pillow, her fingers softly opened in a natural curve. As for Era, we can see no change in either her pose or her expression. She seems totally unaware that her little sister has crawled into bed and is sleeping beside her. Eventually, Aries' small mouth does move slightly, as in response to something, a quick trembling of the lips that lasts but an instant, perhaps a tenth of a second. Finally hone pure point of view that we are, however. We cannot overlook this movement. Our eyes take positive note of this momentary physical signal. The trembling might well be minuscule quickening of something to come, or it might be the barest hint of a minuscule whatever it is, something is trying to send a sign to this side through a tiny opening in the consciousness. Such an impression comes to us with certainty, unimpeded by other schemes. This hint of things to come takes time to expand in the new morning light, and we attempt to watch it unobtrusively with deep concentration. The night has begun to open up at last. There will be time until the next darkness arrives. What?
So she's not even awake? She's probably stuck in that room still. It's so mysterious. It kind of... Maybe when she wakes up, maybe she's just sleeping a lot because she's depressed, though. When she wakes up, if she could catch her, if she could be there when she wakes up, maybe she could knock her out of her coma a little bit. She's probably also detoxing and stuff. Oh, that would be. You know, this reminds me of. It reminds me of Black Phone, the movie. The girl, she has dreams, and we just watched that the other day. The girl, she has dreams, and then her brother's kidnapped, and he's locked in a basement. But she has dreams that where she gets clues, and she sees things in her dreams to let her know where her brother is. So, I guess when she wakes up, maybe she's like that girl. She'll be able to solve that case with her if she wants to. I don't know. Weird. What about the guy with the weird face looking in the with the weird translucent mask and you're just gonna leave it a mystery? So weird. I guess it just could be just like a bizarre dream. Or maybe not, though. Who knows? How bizarre. I guess maybe it's more interesting that way. I don't know. Sometimes when you answer everything, it's kind of boring too. But I don't know. In this case, I think I'd want to know. That's so strange. I guess it could just... How scary if that's real. Like, it wouldn't be scary if it would be less scary if there really was a person in there, like in this weird room. But like, if she's locked in there alone, that's horrifying. I don't know. Well, it was very good. It had me all the way suckered in. Her poor sister, though. I hope things go well.